Welcome to Orbit Discovery. If you're watching this video, you're probably just getting started. So let's install the plugins that you'll need, and then I'll take you through an example of how you can make use of Orbit Discovery on Shift. So here are the plugins or Google Chrome extensions that you're going to see when you first log into Orbit Discovery. This is your home screen, the Discover tab. Go ahead and click Install Orbit Plugin, and you'll open up a new tab on the Chrome Web Store. You'll see this button that says Add to Chrome next to the Orbit for Chrome plugin. Go ahead and click Add to Chrome and Add Extension, and you'll see now in the top right the extension shows up. And now I'm going to close this dialog box, and you'll see instantly the plugin disappears behind this puzzle piece. So watch it there, it goes behind the puzzle piece. I'm going to click on the puzzle piece and then this pin icon here to make sure that I can see the extensions that I've installed. So now the Chrome Orbit for Chrome extension is pinned and visible up here. Now let's close out this tab here and install this other extension. This is an ad blocker extension. If you've ever been on a reference website and you see a bunch of banner ads, they're very distracting, you're trying to get your work done, this blocks those banner ads, but then it also allows Orbit to work more fully. So you'll want to have both installed on the computer that you're working on. So I'm going to click Add uBlock Origin and then Add to Chrome here, Add Extension, and once again you'll see the icon. In this case it briefly appeared and then it disappeared behind that puzzle piece. Let's chase it behind the puzzle piece and click on this tack to tack it to this view up here. So now we've installed, you can go ahead and close out this first tab here. We've installed the Orbit for Chrome plugin and the uBlock Origin ad blocker plugin. We're all set to go. If you have an iPad or an iPhone, Orbit Discovery works beautifully on either of those devices. You can go to the App Store and search Orbit CME, and then you can download that app and log in with the same username and password that you created for your Orbit Discovery account, and you can check out Orbit Discovery on your iPad or your iPhone. So now we're installed. You can install this on as many computers as you want. You might be on 10 different computers over the course of the year at the hospital or more. You might want to install this on your personal laptop. You can install these plugins on as many computers as you need to. Let's go ahead and go through a scenario that you might encounter on Shift. Imagine you're reading a CT abdomen pelvis and you see a soft tissue mass in the mesentery, and what comes to mind is sclerosing mesenteritis. So naturally you might search Google for sclerosing mesenteritis, and let's go ahead and do that. So here's the search result for sclerosing mesenteritis, and there's a variety of search results. Here's a Radiopedia article. I could certainly click on that. Here's our RSNA radiographics article. It doesn't matter what article I choose. All of the major radiology references or medical references in general are supported by Orbit Discovery. And if you see one that isn't supported, just let us know, we'll add it. So let's just click on this RSNA article just for an example. And this is a really nice article on sclerosing mesenteritis. As you might expect from a radiographics article, you can see a variety of exemplars of soft tissue masses centered in the mesentery that are carrying the diagnosis of sclerosing mesenteritis. So what you see down here is the discovery bar. Now this is actually being generated by the Orbit for Chrome extension, and you can collapse the bar by clicking on this blue arrow, or you can expand it back out. So you may find it obtrusive when you're reading an article, and then you might want to reference it later, or maybe your eyes get used to having this heads-up display and you can keep it up. It's up to you. And the first view that you see in the discovery bar is your medical browsing history. So you won't see CNN Sports or other non-medical sites show up in this medical browsing history. So one way to make use of this is, let's say you get a call from another physician to discuss a case at 9:35 p.m. You read a reference article in addressing that case, and maybe half an hour later someone else calls you about a related question to that case. You can quickly pull up the article that you referenced just by seeing the time that you referenced it and access it quickly. Another way to use your Orbit Discovery history is you're on a busy shift, you're looking up articles throughout the shift, but you don't really have time to read, let's say, this radiographics article in detail. You just looked at some of the images. Maybe you want to go back in the evening or on another day and dive a little bit deeper into the text of the article, you can use your browsing history in Orbit Discovery to guide your reading based on the things that you encountered when you were on shift. So here's the other tab within the discovery bar, and this is, you'll look for 4 horizontal arrows as an icon, and what you see when you click on that is a differential diagnosis for the topic that Orbit Discovery has automatically extracted from the article. So here, Orbit Discovery, using natural language processing, using AI, has pulled out that sclerosing mesenteritis is the topic of this article and is showing you the related disease entities, carcinoid, tumor, lymphoma, that might be similar disease entities in terms of their imaging manifestation for a radiologist or their histopathologic manifestation for a pathologist's account. And then there are related articles drawn from your specialty. So if you're a radiologist and you put radiology as your specialty in your profile, then radiology articles will show up here. Think of this as a filtered Google search result that only shows you what a radiologist would need to see and ranked by date. So the freshest articles are up front. You can expand out this discovery bar by clicking View All, and you'll see a panel swing out from the left here, and you'll see a full differential diagnosis that might be very broad, and then you'll see the full listing of articles listed and ordered by date, all from reputable radiology sources. So let's take a look at this differential diagnosis. This seems to me a little bit broad for sclerosing mesenteritis. Let's say I want to remove colorectal carcinoma. Maybe I don't think that that's quite appropriate for a differential on sclerosing mesenteritis. I can hover over this minus sign here, and I can curate my personal copy of my differential diagnosis library. So I can delete that article from my differential diagnosis, and you can see that entity has been removed. And let's say I want to add a different entity. So we have epiploic appendigitis. Maybe we want to add omental infarction to this differential diagnosis. So I can go to add article. I don't know if you saw that. I clicked on add article up here, and I'm going to search for omental infarction. And you can see that just as soon as I typed omental, you can see all of the related findings to omental caking, omental torsion, and here's omental infarction. I want to add this to my differential diagnosis. I just hover over the plus sign and I can add it. You can see it says article has been added, and you have a chance to undo that if you want. If you missed the chance to undo it, it's no worries. You can go back to your differential diagnosis by clicking this back arrow, and now you should see omental infarction, and there it is in your personal copy of your differential diagnosis. So that's how you curate your own differential diagnosis as you climb from resident to fellow to attending. During residency and fellowship is a good time to consolidate your learning, and by shaping your personal differential diagnosis library, you're becoming familiar with these disease entities, and you're creating efficiency that you'll be able to take advantage of when you're in attending and you have far less time. When you're using Orbit Discovery, you can access that personal differential diagnosis library efficiently and propel your work and protect your knowledge blind spot. If you have any questions as you're getting started with Orbit Discovery, or if you have suggestions for how to improve the experience, feel free to email us. We'd love to hear from you. This is a experience that we've created for you, and so it's important to us to hear how you're experiencing it.